What's up, everybody? Lefty here, Party Science, fucking up the camera angles as always when I'm in the office. Today, I have somebody who I got to meet completely on a whim at a DJ event, and we followed each other on social media, kept in contact here and there, but he's probably one of the most active DJs that I see on social media in terms of working every single fucking day, if not as many days in the week. And it's like a DJ dream, this guy, the type of lifestyle that he lives in my eyes. So none other than that, I have Artie V here. Artie, thank you for being here, bro.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. So the one thing I've been wanting to ask you, because I fucking love something about you that you probably put it this way, but I like your tagline.
No Artie, no
No
party.
Artie, no party. I think that's one of the dopest fucking lines.
Hashtag no Artie, no party. Everyone loves it. Every time somebody sees it out there somewhere. It's usually the old folks, though. They're always like, hey, my dad's name is, or my uncle's name is Artie. I got to take a picture of this. But, my name's Arthur, so Artie for sure, of course. And it's a tag that just came up to me from, I forget where it was. I think we were at a show I did a long time ago, and these go-go dancers had it on their ass. One of them had no Artie, and the other one had no party. And I was like, all right, I'm going to roll with this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I think it's such smooth branding and marketing. Like, anytime I see it on your social media or I see you post, like, some of my favorite stuff that I see is, like, the reactions after the wedding where couples come up to you. Of course, yes. I think that shit's dope.
Yeah.
How did you get into, because you were, I think, live streaming the day I met you at the DJ event.
I was.
So how did you get into that? Like, what made you want to start live streaming and doing all the recording?
Well, I've always liked the social media aspect of everything that we do.
Oh, there's a water behind you for you, by the way.
Thank
so
you.
If you want
thank
water,
you.
yeah.
Thank you. Water comes in clutch.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of the social media aspect when it comes to DJing and getting our content out there, getting our work out there. And one thing that happened during the pandemic is all of these DJs, we try to go live. We try to go live on as many platforms as we could. And a lot of times we would get taken down from, Facebook, copyright, Instagram, same thing. Mm-hmm. Twitch was a big one. A lot of DJs went on Twitch. A lot of DJs went on Twitch during that time. And I remember trying to go on Instagram and only get shut down because of copyright. And I know TikTok was the thing. And then I started dabbling with TikTok. And one thing I realized was that you can go live on TikTok without being taken down for copyright issues. And I was like, okay, so this is kind of like a gold mine for us as DJs. Yeah, Twitch is great. It's a great community, and you can build a community with it. But it's more video game based, I feel. When it comes to TikTok, young kids are on TikTok. Now older folks are on TikTok. And I feel like you would grab more of an audience on TikTok than you would on any other platform because it was new and trendy and everything else. So once I started going live at home, I said, you know what, I'm going to just start going live on my gigs. And that's what I did. And what's great about TikTok is a feature that you can go back to your live, because what happens with our phones is that, you can record on your phone all day long, but it's going to take up all that storage. And people always worried about, storage space and stuff. But with TikTok, it stores that live feed that you had from an event or whatever live feed you had, it stores it into its own cloud for 30 days. So you can go back onto that and clip out the parts that you want to make a post out of. Say it's a crowd reaction, or like you mentioned, like the couples coming up to me at the end of the night. That's all just being live, and I don't have to worry about storage on my phone, and I just clip out the part that I want and I make posts out of them. So TikTok is a great tool, and I think every DJ should be on there. Yeah, definitely.
I definitely agree, bro.
Yeah.
I always am curious on why DJs don't do more social media, seeing like our goal is always to expand brand and get more clients.
Yeah.
What do you think causes that?
A lot of DJs, I was one for a long time. I didn't like to put my work out there because I was always afraid of someone copying my work. There's always that fear of like, oh, you're doing a great transition or a great wordplay, and if you throw it out there, someone else is going to copy you. But my mentality is that throw it out there before that person copies you. You know what I mean? Because if you do it first, then everything else is just a copycat, So the way I look at it too is that, we this is all temporary. Life is temporary. All events are temporary. Being a DJ is temporary. Put your work out there just in case, you're not doing it anymore, but it's still out there. People can look back at it, God forbid something happens to you or whatnot, and it's still out there. You're putting your work out to the world.
Right. When did you start uploading the wordplays? Because I see that's something that you like to do.
So, yeah, wordplays is great because I feel like transitions when it comes to DJing, we could all blend. I feel like most of us can blend. A lot of people have a hard time blending. Don't get me wrong, but it just adds a little spice to it, just like scratching does, or just like sound effects do. I started doing a lot of word plays just because it just added another element to the blend. You know what I mean? And I saw a lot of DJs starting to do word plays, and I was like, oh, this sounds like fun, and it's very easy to come up with. Not very easy, but I feel like it's great for our creative minds to push that up, to get that out there, like the word plays. And because we hear the lyrics all the time of songs. Some of us can't do tone plays because we don't know how to play piano, or simple stuff like that, and I'm not coordinated enough to do a tone play. But I like doing word plays. I think they're a simple and effective way to wow a crowd.
Yeah. You have a lot of good reaction videos of it.
Yes. Yeah. So it's great. Like I said, some DJs don't like it. They think it's cheesy because everyone's doing them now. But the crowd likes it. So
bro, performance first fan. Like,
yeah.
If it rocks the crowd, I don't give a shit what another DJ has. You got it your own way, bro. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's not all one way. That's fine.
We don't play for DJs. We play for the crowd.
Exactly. And bro, you do a good job at it because it looks
Thank
like
you.
you're always playing for a crowd, my guy.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And that's something that I thrive behind. It's just the crowd reactions. The crowd, the testimonies at the end of the night. The handshakes and wow, you're a great DJ. I need to book you for my wedding. Stuff like that.
Now you have the run coming up soon, right? Where you'll be DJing during the Boston run. Is that what I saw? On your
Marathon
social?
Monday. I will be at Stats in Southie. That's usually a long day. That's usually like from like 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. depending on how long people stay, but it's usually a long time. Marathon Monday is one of my favorite holidays there in Southie, just because a lot of runners come in there after, because a lot of runners live in the neighborhood.
Sure.
And we host a lot of fundraisers there before the marathon, so a lot of them come back to the bar, and it's usually a good time.
Nice. Now, what is your do you have a specific type of crowd you like to DJ, or do you just try to diversify based on your
diversify a lot depending on locations. To say which one is my best is hard. It's hard for me because every DJ wants to be in the spotlight. Every DJ likes to be on that stage. Every DJ likes to be the center of attention. But sometimes when you're not the center of attention, people notice you more. Like, for instance, like a place like Stats or a restaurant or a bar where there's no dance floor. You're just providing background music. Sometimes people take notice to that more than they would at a full dance floor, a big stage. You're the biggest person there. Everyone's attention is supposed to be on you, but sometimes it's not. But I feel like if you're playing at a little bar or a small spot, and you can really get the attention of people in the right way, especially in a place like Southie, because it's a good age range for people like myself to land weddings.
Right. So you're finding that the clientele through that area doesn't mind they almost appreciate someone who's not front and center,
right?
Still rocking a
right,
crowd.
but we all love that front and center.
Oh yeah,
vibe. We all want to be on the big stage. Every
right.
DJ wants to be up there, be the center of attention, dropping bangers all night, like I do at White Bull Tavern on Fridays and Saturdays usually. I'm on a stage. I see the crowd underneath me, and they're having a great time, just like I am too. Don't get me wrong, I love doing that, and I still get the same compliments. But sometimes to change the scenery a little bit helps too.
Absolutely. Yeah. When I was going through my club phase, I realized, because I don't know about you, bro, but everybody tells me the money's in private events. And sure, but I've made way more money clubbing on less days and less requirements
Less
of
work,
me.
yes,
You know what I
yes,
mean?
yes.
Making way more doing less and having more fun in terms of stress level, because you got intros and
It
shit
is less stress,
yeah.
of course.
So
less.
when people say that to me, I'm always kind of like, oh, all right, I guess, depending on where you kind of started. So when you're saying the mixing up, I'm a huge fan of doing, I've gotten to this point now where I do a lot of mitzvahs for one of the companies that I work for. And I find the music that the kids like there, I'm going to be playing in about a year or two pretty solidly in whatever club I'm doing. Because they're going to like all that TikTok, everything that's kind of early before it really pops off, because they're 13, 12, those mitzvah ages. And then if I go to a club within a year's time, the music that I was playing there is, so it's kind of like
it works both ways,
right?
It does work both ways, because you're doing the young crowd that will later on that music later on in life, but then you're also doing bars and clubs where people want to hear that music at their special day too.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So it kind of works both ways.
Yeah. Now, do you like to book more weddings, or is there more clubs? Like, if you had to lean into one and say,
So,
like, I'm going hard
Yeah,
here, like, which way are you going?
when I was younger, I was every young DJ dreamed to be Armin van Buuren or Tiesto on the big stage. Every DJ dreamed to travel all over the world, which I've done. Every DJ wishes to be on a festival stage, which I've done as well. Open up for a big artist, which I've done as well. But it comes to a certain point in time where it's like, yeah, I was doing all that, but I was also doing it part-time. I was working full-time. And it came to a certain point in my life where I was like, do I want to continue working for the man? Because I was already taking so many days off because I was traveling so much. You know what I mean? So working full-time, a 9-to-5 job. The boss came up to me one day. He's like, Artie, you're never here. You're in Niagara Falls one day. You're in LA the next day. You're in Texas the next day, because I was traveling a lot for DJing. He's like, do you even want to keep this job? And I'm like, honestly, no. He's like, you sure? I'm like, you know what? I'll give my 2 weeks. I'm gonna continue this DJ journey. So that's when it comes into play, where you gotta stop making some real money, to live off of DJing. And that's when I started taking on weddings. It was the worst timing too, because it was right before the pandemic, where I quit my full-time job when I needed the full-time job because pandemic hit. So it was the worst timing, and I was really scared during the pandemic. But
What was that like, going through that phase for you?
oh, it was horrible. I was like, why did I quit this job? Why did I do this? I was back to cutting lawns with my old man, because there was no jobs for us. But then it took me a little bit to get back into focus on what's the route I wanted to go to, like which way I wanted to take this DJ career, and weddings was it. And I did that like right during pandemic, like right after the pandemic went away. I started focusing on weddings more, and what I found was that people were demanding, not so much asking, but like they would show up at like a place like Stats or my public events, and they were like, we need to have you for my wedding. We need to have you. At that point, they already made up their mind when it comes to money. So I was like, all right, I'm already creating a demand for myself. So I was like, I can't be turning down this kind of money. So that's when I started doing weddings. And to be honest with you, all the traditional stuff I used to be afraid of doing back in the day with weddings are all going out the window now. Like all that MC work and all the games you would play. Like, back in the day, these wedding DJs would do like garter tosses and like all these weird things, or putting the garter up someone's leg. No one's doing that anymore.
People are shutting that down when I offer it.
That's what I'm saying.
I have it in my paperwork, and I get it more rejected more often than
Cake
not.
cutting now is to the side. These people now, they just want to party. They don't want any of that traditional stuff. So everything came into the right time for me when it came to that. It's like they just want a DJ to really like amp up the party. So that's what I do now.
Yeah.
So it's so much easier now. I think weddings are just, in the look of their faces after everything's said and done, like the videos that I post, they're always so happy that I'm there doing it.
Yeah.
So,
What was your decision to become a DJ? Because obviously it seems like you've definitely been able to achieve many goals that a DJ dreams of. What made you become a DJ?
So when I was younger, I always used to, well, let's start with this. Like, say, we'd always get grounded from our parents, and they'd always take away our TV and stuff like that. It would always be a big deal. So I would always have a Walkman. Whenever I got in trouble, I'd always throw on my Walkman and just listen to music, lay in bed. I didn't need my TV. I just had my Walkman. And one thing I loved to do with my family, with my cousins and stuff too, was always show new music to someone. You know what I mean? I could never play an instrument, but I love showing new music to like my family and my friends. Like, you gotta listen to the CD that I just bought, or you gotta listen to this track, or you gotta listen to this, you gotta listen to that. So I was like, you know what? This sounds like something I would love to do. Just show people music. Like I said, I didn't know how to play an instrument. What other way can I be a musician without playing an instrument? I went to a gig where it must have been like my aunt's wedding or something, and I saw a wedding DJ do his thing. And I was like, oh, this sounds like something I want to do, But then after doing because a lot of DJs, we start doing like private parties for family and stuff. And I was doing that at the age of 17, 18, throwing CDs in a CD player, playing music back and forth, not really mixing until I stepped foot into the first nightclub, my first nightclub experience. I'll never forget my first nightclub experience because I was there with all my friends, and all my friends were like, "Yeah, let's go to this nightclub. Let's go pick up some chicks. This is our first time going to the club." And we all had notebooks and pieces of paper for phone numbers. At the end of the night, Artie, how many phone numbers did you get? What did I have written down? Every track the DJ played.
Nice.
No phone numbers. Every track that the DJ played that night, because I was behind the DJ booth looking at his records. What song is that? What song is that? And that's pretty much where like everything started for me.
So, what was the first gig like for you after that moment? And how long after before you were DJing your first gig?
I used to live in Somerville for a while, and my friend used to, he was in a band, and he played at this small bar called Hannah's.
Okay.
And they didn't want to do bands anymore, and they were like, "Oh, we want to try a DJ." And he came up to me, I was like, "Hey, I know you're just starting this whole DJ thing, but you want to try this little bar in Somerville?" I'm like,
Right place, right time, huh?
pretty much. And I was like, all right. But I was doing records and CDs at the time. I didn't know how to read a crowd or anything. I was literally thrown to the wolves and to this bar. And I was there for 2 years because we built a night out of it. And I was there Fridays and Saturdays. I'll never forget it. And it was all just like techno music of the 2000s, like the golden era of like house and trance and EDM and Tiesto days. And it was a grand old time. That's where I started. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you, when you look back at that, what is like some of the memories you think of that really sit with you from that first gig?
Carrying all the gear, those wooden heavy speakers and the amplifiers that were separate from the speakers. The amplifiers would weigh heavier than the speakers. Mm-hmm, you know what I'm talking about? Like those old school amps. Like that's one thing I'll always imprint into my head because these kids now, they have no idea.
No.
You know, the turntables were heavy. The records were heavy. The speakers were heavy. Everything was just heavier.
Yeah.
But we were young. So, I mean, we loved to do it. We threw everything in the back of a pickup truck. We'd show up to the bar. I had to show up with friends, and they would drink for free. So they would help me, like, load up and load out. And that was it.
Right.
Lots of memories were made from that, too, because we were down the street from Tufts. So a lot of time, like, Tufts kids would come up to us and be like, "Oh, you guys are great. Come." They would throw cash down and, like, follow us to an after party. I remember going to an after party at Harvard because of that. Like, it was just a wild time.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was the first after party like for you? Like, were you just like, let's go see what it's about?
Yeah, it was one at Harvard, and it was wild. It was like this huge, like, it looked like a library. It was just a big building. It was right near Harvard Square, and these kids just like follow us. They gave us like a wad full of cash, and it was like 4 floors. We had to set up on the 3rd floor. All these kids helped us set up, and we were there until like 8, 9 in the morning. It was nuts. We started at 3 in the morning.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Nice. So now that you've been doing it for a while, I would assume the traveling is not as difficult. But what was the first time traveling like?
First time traveling, I went to Buffalo, New York, and that wasn't really travel. I wasn't on a plane, but I went to do like a silent disco out there, and it was my first actual like out of state gig, and it was cool. It was an 8-hour drive from here to there, you know, so I was excited the whole time. Got there, did the show, and came back. But that got me in good graces with the agency that I worked for at the time, and they got me onto cruise ships. They got me into pretty much every state in the country, DJing for colleges and college campuses. Canada, did a lot of college campuses up there. And also I performed for our military bases out in a country called Bahrain and Djibouti, which is in Africa. So working for this agency, they got me a lot of cool gigs. I opened up for Kesha, Wale, Jesse McCartney, Mike Stud, a couple others like Jason Derulo, I think, there's a couple other guys too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's opening like for an artist? Like, is it just like a regular gig?
It was funny because I remember opening up for Kesha, and one thing that they told me not to play was Katy Perry or any. Obviously, I wasn't going to play any Kesha music because it was Kesha's concert, but she specifically said no Katy Perry music, which I thought was funny.
Yeah,
you know, but it was cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but it was cool because I played in front of thousands. Probably was like a 10,000 person crowd in Clemson, South Carolina, right outside the stadium there. And it's cool.
Yeah. What's looking out into a crowd like that for the first time feel like?
Oh man, I was so nervous first time on a big stage like that. I was super nervous. I remember being like trying to talk on the mic a lot, trying to hype up the crowd, and I know I was just wasn't there like just mentally because I was just so nervous and anxiety, stress. But I had fun. It was fun at the end of the day. It was cool. One of the cool moments was like all the girls and all the guys cheering me on when I'm on stage. And then when I got off stage, they all thought I was like Kesha's DJ. So I was like acting like some kind of celebrity. So they all followed me backstage and everything. I was like, I'm just going back to my hotel. I'm a nobody.
Yeah. It's nice when you have moments of feeling, I don't know, I call them like a little bit of fame.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of fame where people are looking at
Almost
you.
famous.
Yeah.
That's what I tell everyone. Everyone's like, oh, you're going to be famous? No. I'm like, no. Forever almost famous.
I mean, look, bro, the type of high you get even at a club, I try to explain it to people where I'm like, being front and center, all eyeballs on you, and you control the energy of the room. There's a certain stress that comes with that, but when you do it well, it's pure. Like you're enjoying every second of every song.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's all about the nod, too. I feel like when people just give you that nod and just like, good job, man. I love that.
Yeah. I'm a big, in my folders, I call them shock and awe. If like those moments where like they hear something they weren't expecting, or the wordplay was in a way where like, and you just see them be like, the pause, like there's just like a registering what just happened moment. Those are like, oh fuck, like, yeah, like,
Yeah, I like it sometimes when they're like the guests, especially at weddings, because they're not used to seeing like, especially because they don't go out to clubs, they're not used to seeing like a DJ that can actually mix and stuff like that. One of my favorite moments is when they actually come like up to the booth and like pointing at what I'm doing to other guests. You're like, do you see what he's doing? Do you see what he's doing?
Yeah, yeah. It's a rush.
It is.
Yeah, it's a rush. Now, for you, since you've done what you've done, like, what are you trying to do now? Like, what's the goal?
Well, the goal is to keep doing this as long as I can.
Sorry. Of course, the best friend would call now.
The goal is to keep doing this as long as I physically can,
Bro, you could probably rock this for a long time.
Weddings, maybe start getting into production a little bit, some edits. I started messing around with a couple of edits already, so maybe start getting into that, making my own sound, making myself unique, because I feel like anybody could do the wordplays I do. Anybody can transition a song, but if you make your own edits, it's your own style, it's your own music, your own sound.
Right. The way a wordplay would hit when you create a new redrum or a certain vocal or something like that, and you see it go over, it has that certain like.
It does, yeah. You get this sense of accomplishment when you see a crowd vibe to something you created, like an edit, even a simple mashup, because I've done a couple mashups recently, and like Chappelle Roan, Swedish House Mafia one really goes off at the clubs, and I've been playing that a lot lately, and it's a satisfaction. It's a point of like satisfaction. You see everyone's like putting their hands up, and it's like, hey, I made this.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's even a higher rush of like not just playing the song, but it came from me. I created this shit. Let's go.
Even though you didn't create the vocals or act the beat, but you put them together to make this different sound that no one else has. It's great.
Yeah,
it's a great feeling.
Yeah, and it comes from experience of rocking the club long enough to know that putting the two together.
Yes.
Now, when you're doing, so there's two things I want to talk about: the DJ stuff in terms of the events that you guys are doing, because I saw another post, and then I also want to get back to, I saw you post about it, so I feel like we can talk a little bit about the Jersey Shore stuff.
Talk a little bit about it.
Yeah. And I don't know what you can mention and can't mention, but I saw you post. I was like, I can bring it up then if he posted about it.
Yeah.
So let's start with that, and then we'll go to the DJ stuff in terms of the event that you guys have coming up, because I think it's a really cool event the way you guys do it.
Yep.
Now, the Jersey Shore stuff, was that, when you explained it to me, I felt like you almost didn't see that happening the way it happened, or like it came to you recently?
It was just a shooting. They came to a local restaurant up in Manchester, New Hampshire. I just literally came from there, and they reached out via Instagram. They're like, hey, we see you're a Boston DJ. You want to be part of this Jersey Shore shooting. You're going to be in the background for them while they're eating dinner. Had to sign a bunch of release forms for my logo to be on TV and all that stuff. So that episode won't air until like January, I heard. So it's going to be sometime.
Nice.
Yeah.
How's that feel, bro? Because is that like another... Have you done something like that before? Or
Not
how
so
did-
much of a TV show, but I've done a lot of promotional stuff for different companies. You know, I DJ'd at Pop Up Bagels in the Seaport for their grand opening not too long ago. I did a Celtics signing autograph the other day at Kowloon, Saugus. I did a wrestler there too. Like this promotion company hooks me up with doing like events for like autograph signing and stuff. So stuff like that, I'm always down to do something different. You know, it fills the schedule. You know,
Right.
and it looks good in the resume.
Yeah, I mean, when you're putting out the "I'm gonna be here every month,"
Yeah.
it looks busy, bro. It
Yeah,
looks very,
exactly.
very busy.
Exactly.
I mean, because it is,
Right.
right?
Right.
So is there any events that you've done, like I don't know about you, but I'll have like these random events that are not, they're not clubs, they're not weddings, but they'll be like this odd,
Yeah, like I
like
just
here and
mentioned.
there.
Yeah, like I mentioned, the pop up bagel shop. You know, I was just in the Seaport, and it's a small. It's probably just as small as this room. It's just a small little corner they put me in, and it was a grand opening for a bagel shop, and I'm just DJing there, and the energy was great. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning. It was cold out too. I remember it being so cold, but just it's a very small spot. People coming in and out. I've done dispensaries, same thing. You know, people coming in and out. So you're not really holding a crowd, which kind of stinks. But people coming in, you're playing fun music, and they hear it. Some people might hear a transition because they're there at the right time. You know, but creating vibes like that is great because it gets your name out there. Essentially, that's what it's all about. You know, so.
Right. Now, when you were building your brand, what other things were you doing besides playing? Like, was there other things you were doing outside of DJing that helped you
Build
your
my brand. A lot of promotional stuff. Like, you know, I would give out bracelets with my No Artie, No Party hashtag on them, stickers, hoodies that I would sell a lot of in Southie. But social media is huge right now, especially for me. Feel like it's happening so fast. So many like clips going viral and everything else. Followers counts going up, and it does help. I mean, some people say followers don't mean anything. You know, a lot of DJs like, oh, you know, where's the talent behind just getting followers because of a viral clip? Your face is out there. That's all that matters. And then you could post
It absolutely matters, bro. I'm with you.
No, but it's like, you know, some people like, oh, they have thousands of followers, but there's no talent. Granted, yeah, there's no talent, but after you get those followers, put the talent out after so they can see the talent. So that's my strategy. It's like, you know, I might put out some stupid stuff like an ex walking into the bar where I made 16 million views on TikTok. I got those followers now, so now I could post talent content and hopefully
Convert.
yeah, and get, you know, some business out of it. And it's been happening.
Yeah. That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that strategy.
Yeah.
I think social media is the most underutilized way of creating more clients for the older DJ segment. I think the newer DJs, I think they almost became DJs because of TikTok.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah,
I
there
think
is
it was.
that.
I don't think it was. I
there
chose
is-
to be a
there
DJ
is
and then
that,
joined
yeah.
TikTok. I think they saw it. They were like, "That's some cool shit. I can do it." The sync button's there. People love it. Like if you can rock a party, do it. Right. That's all. It doesn't matter what equipment. If you can
Doesn't
rock a
matter,
fucking
right.
party, you know what songs to select.
Right.
Do it. But I think for the older heads, they look at social media almost like, why? Why would I do
Why?
that?
Yeah.
Why would-
But
like-
those are the ones that are being left behind.
Right.
There's a
Right.
reason why I'm busy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just because of my skills, but it's because I'm putting myself out there. You have to put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't put yourself out there, how are you going to be found? You know, your next big gig could come from a post that you posted up. If you're not posting it, someone else is. And someone else is getting that big gig.
Mm-hmm.
Jersey Shore, you know, or anything else that comes up.
Yeah. Yeah, I found most of my work, like some of the stuff that I've done lately, has been from the fact that I did a podcast with this person that led to this person, that the next thing I know I'm hanging out with this person. I'm just like how the fuck did I get here?
Yeah,
You know?
just doing stuff like this, even a little podcast here and there, it could build up to something bigger. You know, you start small, but you end up being big after.
Yeah. I've converted clients from this. So like I run social media. So from this, the hardest part is to get someone to listen to your pitch. But if
Yeah.
you sit down and shoot the shit with them and like you have good vibes, it's almost like that you've already won them over. you know?
Exactly.
So I feel like when you're handing out the bracelets, when you're handing out the sweaters, when you're handing all this stuff, it's like an instant win.
People love free shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially if they go out to see, like, if you create a good environment, like a good space, like, you know, my place on Sundays at Stats, it's a good vibe. People go there, they have a great time, and they're like, wow, you're a great DJ. You know, like, where can I find you? Where can I, you know, I love to follow you. And I'm like, instead of giving a business card, Here's a bracelet. My Instagram's on here. My hashtag's on here. You won't lose it because it's on your hand. You might be drunk at that point when I'm handing it to you, but you're gonna wake up with a bracelet around your wrist and be like, "Oh yeah, that DJ was killing it." That's the way I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when I was doing the club stuff, what we tried to do was use social media as a way of retention. So we would take a picture of someone, and then we would do it on our phones. That's why you see phones. I mean, like, I'm a big phone, and we would tag them instantly on that picture. And we would find that because they were tagged, they would end up almost going through the whole story that they were tagged in. So similar to how you do that, it's like make them feel like they're getting some form
Something
of
out of it.
something
Yeah, yes.
out of it,
Yes.
and they will love you to the end.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, when did you realize that was the case?
Probably when I started traveling. I felt like, when I was traveling doing these gigs, none of those gigs, those people were there for me. When I was doing a lot of silent disco headphone shows, so everybody was going to a silent disco show. They didn't know who the DJs were.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah. There was a
um,
huge phase of that.
just like
Yeah.
I was opening for Kesha or these other big artists doing a cruise ship. The cruise ship's like, hey, they know there's a silent disco going on, but they don't know who the DJs are. So I was like, how can I capitalize on getting these people to remember me on these cruise ships or on these, school tours, Canada, whatever. I just thought, hey, what if I'm on stage and I'm just throwing bracelets out to the crowd? These are cheap enough to make. So I was like, hell yeah, I'll just do that. And that's what I did. But it's not so much, it didn't help me being on the road because those people are not coming to Boston. You know what I mean? I'm going to do a show in Minnesota. That 5,000 people in the crowd, they'll follow me on social media, but they're not coming to Boston. When is the next time I'm going to Minnesota? So I brought it home, and I realized that just being home, I kind of don't travel as much as I used to, but being home, you make a name for yourself better, because you're there, and everyone can see you. So doing that makes a bigger imprint in people's heads, in their memory.
Right. Right. Now, are you the DJ get-togethers that you guys do? So I went to one. It was cool. I mean, anytime you're in a room full of DJs, there's always that aura of like everybody thinks they're the best.
Yeah.
So I get used to that at this point, but it was fun to walk into because for some reason or other I got to DJ the longest because I think you guys had some shit going on, so I got to spin for a little bit, and that was cool. And then I got down and I spoke with you. It was Diego, and then fuck, bro, I'm blanking on your friend, the dude that you do it with, bro.
Pat Poland?
Pat, yeah. I think that he's
Yeah.
like my
Yeah,
height.
Pat,
Yeah. So he was mad cool. He's like, yeah, there's one spot left. Like, go ahead,
Yeah.
go rock it. And then after it was done, I got down and like talked to everybody, and like, I love the energy of DJs, bro. Like, I love that shit because it fuels us. I think everybody, as you should, every DJ should think they're the best DJ, right? Like
It's ego.
that's how it should be. Like,
We're the center of attention, and
Yeah.
it's just going to be
Yeah.
into our heads.
yeah. I think once you get to the point where you realize there's enough gigs for all of us, it's kind of when it becomes more fun to be around.
Yeah, you
DJs.
have to really imprint that into a lot of DJs' minds. Even myself, I'd have to do it to myself sometimes, 'cause sometimes you get that little jealousy when you see another DJ doing a bigger gig or a better gig, but you really have to humble yourself. And it's like, listen, there's plenty of gigs out there for everybody. There really is.
Yeah. It's a matter of, like, I think people fantasize about certain gigs. They'll see a certain location or whatever, and then they'll hate on that DJ that got it because they fantasize about it instead of being like
Supportive or something.
Yeah, I found I've gone further in my DJ career by being cool with DJs and just being like they'll think about you, and be cool with a DJ.
That's the number one thing I tell all these guys. Just be humble, treat everyone with kindness and respect, and don't burn any bridges. Burning bridges is number one thing that can ruin a DJ's career. And I don't mean with other DJs, and I mean with the staff, bartenders, bouncers. You never know if that bouncer is going to run a bar one day. You never know if that bartender is going to be a bar owner another day. Or it could be a booker down the line or something. And she's going to be like, oh, I remember that DJ from back in the day. He was rude to me or something. And now she's like, like the head booker at Memoir or something. You know what I mean? So it's like, don't burn any bridges along the way, especially with DJs too, because DJs do a lot of bookings. They might not be booking anybody now. They might be somebody little just getting into the scene. But in like 2 or 3 years, they're booking like 3 or 4 bars in Boston that you want to DJ at. But you were rude to that person or whatever at the meetup, and he remembers you.
Yeah.
And you wonder why he's not going to book you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's why I say don't burn bridges.
Yeah. No, I found it was cool, man. I got to talk to you. I'm interviewing Willie B. So that'll be cool, like getting to sit down and talk with him. So like I got to talk to a few guys there, and I just made it a point when I got down. I was like, "There's other fucking DJs there, bro. What's the ego? Yo, what can I do better, bro? Like, what the fuck does it matter? Like, if it's good advice, I'm gonna take it. If it's shit advice, I'm gonna be like, thank you for the advice. You know, like,
Yeah, I mean, the whole reason why I do that meetup and why we do that meetup is just to get all the DJs together and like just the little guys and give them a chance to play on open decks and perform in front of DJ. Even though it's nerve wracking to play in front of, I hate playing in front of DJs. I hate it. I just don't like to do it. I just always feel like I'm gonna be judged or what.
oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? But it's like
absolutely.
But it's one of those things where it's like it's just I like to create a space for everyone to just come together. If you haven't played before and you want to play, come play. Maybe a DJ that books someplace might see you at the meetup and say, hey, we'll give you a night here, we'll give you a night there. And a lot of DJs that, excuse me, have been to the meetup have gotten gigs because they were at the meetup.
Yeah. Well, if you want to refine your craft, I highly recommend to going to things like that. If you want to become the best, you got to be around other killers.
You got to be around the best, yeah, And sometimes I don't like to be, well, I don't want to say this. I love to be around DJs that are better than me. I love that.
Me too.
But there's also a responsibility as a busy DJ as myself, or as a good DJ as yourself, or whoever, that we got to teach these little guys. We got, like, when I was coming up, we didn't have meetups, we didn't have social media, we didn't have any podcasts, we didn't have conversations with other DJs. We were just thrown to the wolves at gigs, just like I told you about my first gig. It was nothing, no preparedness. There was nothing like that. It was just like, hey, you want to be DJ? Here's a bar, go DJ. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting to watch. I think there's a difference between just what people see on social media and what you're actually doing. Like, my fiance has come to gigs with me, and she's sitting behind me just seeing me push buttons. So to her, she's just watching me get drunk people to dance, right? There's no fun for her there. Like, for me, I'm that person singing, that person tapping their toes, heading up. All right, now the dance floor's starting. All right, what do we got to do to keep them here? Then, all right, this different crowd walked in.
We have to watch everybody.
Oh, bro, it's funny because you watch stories develop throughout the night. Like, you can see, who the smooth guy is, who the hot girl, and all the guys are giving her attention.
You see when the liquor starts kicking in.
Yeah, the liquid courage.
When they start getting a little loose and they start talkative and they start dancing in their seats a little bit, and you're like, all right, this one's going to be a dancer.
Yeah. There's something beautiful to watch just watch it unfold,
It always does.
And you'll be surprised sometimes who the people who get the dance floor, like, at clubs, there's always like the few couple people who like get everybody hyped, and then the dance floor kind of pops off. I mean, that's what I've seen. Like, you have the group of girls or, whatever it is. So there's this high that comes with it that I don't know if you've ever had this, but the second the room is empty, there's like that high I was chasing, because now it's walked out the door. I'm waiting for the next time to go find that high. It's almost like an addicting like role that I have to be in, because it's just a level of high I don't experience other ways. Yeah. So what is it like being a performer for you? Like, what do you...
Well, I let a lot of music do the talking, so I'm not really performing. But what you were saying about like a crowd dying out and coming back, I DJ at White Bull Tavern, and I DJ the first floor. Another DJs upstairs. A lot of people like to flock upstairs as soon as they enter the building. Upstairs is more intimate, it's smaller, it's a cool vibe. You've been upstairs, that's where we do the meetups. Yeah. When I was hired to do the downstairs for a couple of reasons. Number one is to attract the right vibe into the building as soon as they enter the building. So the owner wants me to play upbeat music. Not really, I can't play too much hip-hop there. So they like the EDM.
That whole strip, bro. That whole strip doesn't like too much hip hop.
Well, no. The Point plays hip hop, and the place next door, Hennessy's, they all play a more open format.
Hennessy's was the one that gave me a hard time.
Oh yeah. So they play a little bit more open format than what we do. So, At White Bull, we like to keep it leaning more EDM-ish. So all the remixes, top 40 stuff. We can play a little bit of rock, but nothing too hood, nothing too gangsta. But with that being said, the owner wants a certain vibe in there for people to walk into the venue. So as a DJ, even if the venue is empty, we still got to play some upbeat stuff, because what we want to do is when the people walk in, regardless if they're going upstairs or not, you want to catch their ear as soon as they walk in. You want to make sure it's like, ooh, this is a good song. Ooh, this is a good song. But the girls are already going upstairs. They're like, oh, let's go upstairs. But yeah, but I really like this song. So they're already having that conversation that the DJ is already doing a good job while they're checking their coats or whatever, and then they'll make their way up. They might come back down. I don't know. But being downstairs, going back to your point about empty dance floor and a full dance floor, that would happen a lot there. Sometimes in the beginning of the night, I'd have a big rush of people on the first floor, and they're not going upstairs because I got them. You know what I mean? You got them by the music you're playing. But then sometimes you lose steam, just a little bit of steam, or they just want to change the scenery, and then all of a sudden they all go upstairs, and you're like, ugh. You feel just so discouraged, and you're like, ugh. You feel like,
especially when it has nothing to do with the song selection. It's just the moment.
It's something. It doesn't have
Let's
to do with you.
Let's go upstairs, girls.
Just because it's a different scenario, and they want to go upstairs. So, but then that first group will go up, and then all of a sudden the upstairs gets full, and now another rush will come in, and they can't go upstairs because it's full.
Right.
Now you have a full dance floor downstairs.
Right.
So it's that rush that you're talking about. It's like, all right, now I got to start over and get that rush over again. So.
Yeah. I like being in an environment where, like, a DJ, like, we all have the certain songs we're going to play that we know we're going to play that's going to get what we're trying to get out of them. But there's something about being in a club with the DJ who's, like, rotating the selection of music versus, like, I've worked at clubs where, like, oh, this DJ plays, oh, here comes this transition, here comes that transition. So what do you do to keep yourself fresh outside of wordplay? Like,
it stinks because the bartender always knows what we're going to play next. Coming from a place like in White Bull, Faneuil Hall, a lot of DJs don't like to play at the same place over and over, especially local spots, say like Lowell or Salem or any of these areas. Local bars, the issue with that, and I understand why because I've done local bars too, is that we get the same crowd every week. So they'll know your transitions because they're the same crowd, the same regulars at local bars. But a place like Faneuil Hall, it's always you might play the same place week. I could be at White Bull every week for a month, but every single day, even Fridays, Saturdays, there's no regulars. It's always different people. So as a DJ, you want to build a routine when it comes to like mixing music and stuff. And the only way you could build a routine is by doing it repetitively. So it stinks knowing that the bartender knows what I'm going to play next. But the crowd reaction is completely different. They go wild every time I do it because I'm doing a different crowd every night. Right. The bartenders know. Sometimes at the beginning of the night, I'll go up to the bartenders and be like, listen, guys, I'm really going to try to change it this time so you guys don't know any of the stuff that I'm going to play next. But then I feel like I'm a slave to the crowd because when I tried something new, they're not vibing the same way they would if I do my own routine that I know hits every single time. So it's like a double-edged sword, so.
Yeah. I feel like when you finally do something new, like you look over to the bar, they're like, you get that acknowledgement, like, yo, that's some fire. Like, that's what
I'm saying. I've done that a couple of times recently where a bartender's like, yo, I like that. But then I'll do it again, but I don't get that reaction anymore. But I'm getting it from the crowd. Mm-hmm. I'm not getting it from the bartender because they already seen me do it last week.
Yeah.
So it's always a double-edged sword when it comes to that. But as a DJ, you always want to build a solid routine. Say you do something fresh for the first time. Oh, I like that, but that wasn't as perfect as you can make it out to be. So you're going to continue doing that transition to make it sound even better and better and better. So you can have a great routine. You know what I mean? So like you master this routine, but the bartenders already know, but the crowd's like, oh, this is great. And then when you practice that routine over and over to perfect it, that's when I'll throw on the camera and be like, all right, this is wordplay. I perfected it pretty good. Sometimes I'll throw on the live one that, I just did on the fly. Because like I said, I'm always recording live. And sometimes if I do it on the fly and I think it sounds good, I'll post it.
Yeah. Those are the funnest ones where you do it by mistake sometimes.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh, I gotta save that shit. Hold on, I know I need to read this crap.
I take a picture of the screen.
I'm always like, drop this into this crate real quick. Mm-hmm. Save this for later. Wordplay, like some just real quick type of shit just to have it. Obviously the number one rule that I was taught in DJing was like always play for the women. So like you play for the women, you're more
Always.
often than not gonna get a dance
Always,
floor.
yep, always.
So when you're looking at a group of people coming in and you catch them as you're that upbeat vibe that you have going on at White Bull, right?
Yeah.
When you're, or let me say it this way, when you're breaking down a crowd, what are you thinking to get them to stay and then extend their time there? Because that's our job, right? Like
Right. That's more going back to like build a routine or trying something new. If you're trying something new and you see the crowd's not digging it, then you're like, all right, then I got to go back to my old ways. You know what I mean? So going back to your old ways, just playing the same stuff that you hear at every bar, at the throwbacks, whatever is popular, and you could throw on your own little your own wordplay or a little mix to a different edit that you might have of this specific song that hits every week, whether it's Katy Perry or a Kesha song or Justin Bieber, whatever it may be. So there's always different ways you can play the same song with different edits and different remixes. So I like to keep myself fresh with that. Just try to play different versions and try to do something different with that song that everyone loves. Like Unwritten is one of them.
Yeah.
So
That's Touching Betty Phil.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
so-
bro, white girl anthem, bro. Oh my
Yeah.
god, I love it. They do great. It does great at proms.
It does.
It
It
does
does.
amazing.
So it's like one of those things that a lot of times these tracks people forget about, and you just kind of have to throw it back in there and like, oh, so like These Words of Mine, Natasha Bedingfield's another one. Pocket Full of Sunshine.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's another one that people are digging to right now. But yeah, to keep yourself fresh, I just feel like you just find different ways to play those songs, whether it be a remix or do something yourself to that edit, a mashup, or whatever.
Yeah. Are you finding? I'm noticing more that younger kids know older songs, much older songs
I see
than
that,
we
yeah.
would know, maybe at their age. Do you find that has helped kind of be able to have a wider selection during your sets?
I like it, and it helps because it's songs that we're familiar with already. You know what I mean? And I think we have TikTok to thank for that. And TV shows like Stranger Things and stuff. They bring back like 80s. Remember like the whole like
For us, it was Guitar Hero. It was
Guitar
we
Hero,
played Guitar
yeah,
Hero. That was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, all right. Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of those shows bring it back, and sometimes it blows my mind, especially at proms and stuff. Like I have a high school kid come up to me like asking me to play like September or something, or I
Yeah.
Will Survive or something. And it
Yeah.
just totally blows me away. I'm like, what? Why are you requesting this?
Yeah.
I'm like expecting you to request like Fiend or something,
Yeah.
or Carnival. But yeah,
I got hit with Tom Petty last week from like a 14-year-old. I was like,
right.
What?
Yeah.
okay.
That's what I said. I'm like,
All
I have
right.
no problem playing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know I have fun playing those songs, and like I said, a lot of those songs too, are always like remade or mashed up into something cool. A lot of house music has like great like beats to it where they don't overpower the song. Some of these remixes, they just add a nice bass kick to it, and it kind of keeps it original.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of those.
Yeah, me too. Like simple kicks
Yeah.
behind like a good beat, but
Yeah,
just it
just-
fills in any drops with the vocals,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like, it just
yeah.
keeps it.
I'm a huge fan of
Yeah,
those, yeah.
me too, bro. Me too. There's I'm trying to think who it is that I really love. There's one specific person that does
Like
it.
Burnout does it a lot. He's based out of Boston.
Yeah,
Marshall Simon does it a lot.
Fuck, no,
Cyril does it a lot.
damn it. No,
There's a
this
couple other
this
ones.
guy's been around for a while. I'm drawing the blank. I'm sure I'll remember
Yeah.
the second. Like when I'm in the fucking after you leave,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is what I was talking about. Yeah, I find that the right place, right time for a drop with no instruments behind it. It depends on the song, right moment. But just having that additional kick there just keeps the
And what's good too is because again, playing at places like in Faneuil Hall or different bar settings where you see the older folk, even at weddings, where you see the older folks out on the dance floor first. You want to keep them on the dance floor. You want to put them on the dance floor, but you also want to attract the young folks too. So you play an ABBA remix. You know what I mean? Or
yeah. Like a 120 Dancing Queen versus the 107.
yeah, or
and
Mamma
105,
Mia or whatever,
yeah.
like a September, same thing. Ain't No Mountain High Enough,
Yeah,
Dancing in the Moonlight, stuff like that, like the old school songs that older folks like, but the new
Yeah.
kids like too because they've been hearing it. So that comes in handy a lot in the beginning of the night, whether for weddings or if you're doing a bar gig with older folks there first. You want to try to get their dancing shoes on and they're out there. Don't get me wrong, sometimes at weddings, I'll start off with the older folks on the dance floor and they'll stay until the night because they already started off and by the end of the night, they're like, "Oh, my knees hurt. Thank you
Yeah,
for keeping
yeah.
on the dance floor." So
Got the heels off.
yeah. Aunt Stu was like, "Oh my god, I haven't danced like that in forever."
Yeah, she was rocking the
But
cha
she
cha
was
slide
rock-
super
yeah,
hard,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
But some of those stuff, like you stop playing for the younger crowd later on in the night, and then the older folks, they just stay out there because they're having a great time. So that's pretty much my routine when it comes to like weddings too. So it's always older folks first, and then I move on through the decades.
Yeah.
The newer stuff later on.
Yeah. Depending on the crowd, I'll always try to be like, all right, am I starting off with a follow along, a slow song, just straight into a banger? Like, how are we? Like, what are we coming out of? Is it out of a first dance? Everybody's around the dance floor.
It all
or
depends.
is everybody sitting down and we just cut some cake in the corner and like it was just back, like, you know? So
every wedding's different, so it's always a different scenario.
yeah, I'm a big fan. So the company that I work with, they do heavy MC work. Like for me, I'm not the guy. Like I get on the mic, you know, for the gigs that I do, I'll
Me
get
too.
on the mic,
Me
I'll
too.
do it. But if I could not say a word and just spin all night, I find that like that's the
So
ultimate
that's-
flex. Like
that's-
that's just
Yeah, that's pretty much my recipe. I have an MC. I have a good friend, Mike. I've known him my whole life, and he's always been a great guy at making us laugh. He was always the comic. He was always a comedian out of all the group of friends. And he started dabbling a little bit into the DJ world back in the day, and then he started working up for a wedding company, and he kind of just fell back because he didn't really want to do it that much. But then I took him under my wing because I was like, hey, listen, I don't really want to talk on the mic, and you're great at it because he's awesome at it. He makes people laugh on the spot. Say something happens like doesn't supposed to happen, like something falls on the floor. He'll crack a quick joke about it real quick, and everyone loves it. You know what I mean? So he does the talking, and I do the talking with my hands on the turntable, scratching or mixing. You know what I mean? So I feel like I love that combo. Just like you were saying, I don't want to be on the mic and be in the MC. I just want to DJ and talk through music.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's I don't mind the eyeballs. I can do it if I have to. But if you're telling me, yo, bro, if you can keep him here, you ain't got to say a word, that's enough.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
Bro, I got enough crates here and so many situations planned out that there's no way something's going to work today.
Don't get me wrong. We love getting on the mic, especially on a club night or a bar night, you know, because at a club and bar night, you can say whatever you want on a mic, you know.
Bro, and they
you,
get
can,
hyped.
you can say, put your fucking hands up, you know, you can drop F-bombs, you can say, get the shot, line up the shots, you know, it's what's her name's birthday, let's fucking go. Can't do that at a wedding. You gotta be more precise. You gotta pronounce the names right. You can't really swear on the mic. You gotta be, you know, classy.
Everything's clean edits.
You gotta have the wedding voice.
The
Oh,
volume's too loud. Yeah, bro. The wedding voice is my favorite. I've heard people be like, sound like so proper and formal.
Some are proper that way. Some are like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the bride. Like they have this voice, and it's just like almost like a ring announcer.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, the different personalities you'll see on the mic for sure. There's a few that like there's certain lines that I've stolen from people.
Yeah.
There's one that I particularly like is anytime I'm opening up the dance floor with like a slow dance, and it's all couples and stuff, but you can tell like they're having fun, but they're also kind of like we're you know. I'll always be like, all right, bring that special someone or the person you came with.
Yep.
I heard someone say that. I was like, I'm stealing that fucking line. That's a great line.
Yep.
You know, when you're around good MCs,
Of course.
you know,
Yeah,
they
so
rub off on you a little.
It's a learning curve, you know,
Yeah.
just like watching a great DJ. You know? It's like you don't want to steal their idea, but you want to like kind of add your own twist to that idea. But that's how we get ideas.
I have no problem telling the DJ, like, yo, bro, that shit was fire. I'm probably going to copy it.
He probably copied it from someone else too.
Yeah, probably.
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like, you know, Nick Spinelli has like a thing that I downloaded about like MCing weddings and stuff like that, you know? So it's like you can buy things on how to MC a wedding, you know? So it's like everyone's copying somebody, you know? Nothing's really original unless you come up with something original, you know?
Right. And most of the time, if you're on social media long enough, you'll find someone else who did something similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. That's the game we play.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, it's okay. We're playing another artist's song. It's not like we're sitting there playing our original
Nothing's
shit.
original, yeah. Nothing's original at the end of the day.
What's the wildest shit you've seen? Like, you know, every once in a while, you'll do a gig where you're just like, holy shit, what did I get myself into? Have you ever seen some shit? Like, I've seen a fight break out at a wedding. The bride and groom fist fought, got arrested at their wedding at a
Damn.
venue that was probably like at least 40, 50 grand for the venue.
Oof.
New York City, bro. It was the wildest shit I've ever.
I mean, I haven't done weddings long enough for any crazy shit to happen at a wedding, but I've done bars long enough, and one place I used to have for a long time doesn't exist anymore, but it's called Kitty O'Shea's. It's where Bostonia is now, near Tiki Rock and stuff in the State Street. I remember this was like during the last like days of Kitty O'Shea's because it was just haywire because the owner was never there. He was always in Ireland, and these managers would just run this place to the ground. I remember a huge brawl broke out, both floors, girls bleeding on the corner, guys getting stabbed, the cops everywhere, ambulances. I remember the lights coming on, people crying, and I'm like, yo, this is madness right now. There's like drinks everywhere, blood everywhere, people lying on the ground, fights like, ugh, it's so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, this, everyone has their horror stories too, but I got a shoe thrown at me once at a private event.
Oh shit.
So I'll never forget this too. Some old guy was in Dorchester, like a VFW, and it was a gig before going to Kitty O'Shea's, the bar that I just mentioned. And I told this person that booked me, hey, I can only play until 9 o'clock because after 9 o'clock, I got to go to the bar. They're like, yeah, that's fine. That's what we contracted you for and everything else. But she was trying to make me stay until like 11. But I was like, no, I can only stay until 9. If you want someone else, we can hire you someone else. And she's like, no, I really want you. 9 o'clock is fine. Okay. I show up to the gig. I do my gig. 9 o'clock comes. I shut off the music. This old man was so mad at me because he was having the time of his life. But he was so mad at me because I had to leave. He was throwing his shoes at me. I was like George Bush ducking because this guy was throwing shoes at my head.
Oh, that's awesome, bro.
Imagine
that's like
that.
the most backhanded compliment you can get, bro. I'm so mad at you that you're leaving.
Dude, he was his face was red. His wife's like calming him down. Everyone's like backing him to a corner. Like, stop.
Bob.
Yes, yeah, that was pretty wild.
You had one too many, Bob.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
Bro, yeah, those are the horror stories that you get to tell like other DJs and be like, yo, bro. You know what's wild to me is, so you'll experience your play my song now type of guys, and I've had one moment in particular that made me rethink everything as a DJ. I was on a stage, when you're on a stage, I feed off that, But there was this one guy who was walking to the edge, and he was smacking the pool table because there was pool tables there in front of the stage, like to the sides, smacking the pool stick on the stage, and big 6'3" dude, meat like fucking brick. He would eat me alive, bro. Like even though I pride myself on like I'm not gonna go down without a fight. Course. I would have gone down. You know what I mean? Like this guy would have killed me. It was nothing like that. And he was, he was nice. He was hammered, but he kept yelling up shit at me, just different songs and stuff like that. And it was kind of early on, so I played for him. But then as the night got busier, I got to play for the crowd. So he got mad. I stopped playing the request he was saying. Bro, he comes over to the side of the stage, slams the stick, and he's like, if you don't fucking play my song now. And then I couldn't hear the rest, but I see him making his way to the stairs to come to the stage. And I'm like, if this guy gets on stage, I stand no chance. So I meet him at the stairs. And when you're in a scene, you say some shit, it worked, but everything was just kind of like blah, 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 blah. And then it all phased away. And you walk away like, bro, he could have fucking killed you. And the only reason it didn't happen was because you are the DJ.
Yes, it happens a lot, man. That does happen. I mean, I've seen it happen with girls, like, girls dancing behind the DJ booth and boyfriends being mad because their girlfriends or their date is dancing with the DJ and behind the DJ booth, Funny story, it happened a long time ago where I had him kicked out and she stayed. That happened before.
Bro, that's probably not the girl that you want to be with.
No. That was just for the fun of it.
No, I'm talking about him.
It was just for the fun for him to be. I mean, I didn't go home with her either, but it was just because he was a dick.
Yeah. That's the sweetest. Like when someone's a complete asshole. Like my favorite is when someone doesn't know you're the DJ yet because you're like walking through the clouds to get a drink. It's early on in the night, and they act like an ass to you, not realizing you're gonna, and then they come to the booth to ask for a song, and then realize it.
Like, oh shit, I didn't know you were the DJ, bro.
Oh yeah, bro, my bad. Yeah. Now I know. Yeah. There is a little bit of like a go fuck yourself moment in those instances.
Of course.
Yeah, but I've realized, bro, I would think most DJs are like this. If you come up, ask nicely, and it's a song that normally is in a good rotation, we're gonna play for you. Just don't hit me with "I'm leaving in 2 minutes. Please play me my song."
Yeah.
Like, all right, girl, bye. The song's not even gonna be in full. Like, you're gonna be gone before the song is played. You know.
Yeah, I usually ask them. I'm like, look around the room. Look around the room. Do you think the song will work? Is this something you want to hear right now? Like, is it just you to want to hear, or do you have a group of friends that want to hear it too? If you have a group of friends who are all gonna dance and all get hype if I play it, then I'll play
Let's
it.
go.
Let's do this.
Let's go.
But if you're requesting, like a slow song or a song that doesn't fit the vibe, can I then get on the mic and blame it on you? Oh
Yeah.
no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Oh, all right then.
Yeah. They all think it's me playing this the second you walk away. Yeah. It's fun, man. The engagements we'll have is fun. But as we're getting close to the 1 hour mark. But I have a few questions that I kind of like to end with, so I'll ask you them. If you were giving advice to a DJ now, someone who's starting brand new, what advice do you think is important for them to learn first? What would you tell them?
Be humble, number one. It's a job that ego can get to you. It really can. So being humble is number one, I think, because like there's so much crap out there. So much things will be thrown at you. Learn the basics, connect with the right people, and don't burn any bridges. I mean, that's pretty much the recipe for success, I think, in my book. Other people might have different books.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing when you ask a DJs that they never say they'll mention it, but they'll always kind of talk about the skill being something that's needed, but the personality is the first thing they always kind of need.
Yeah, I mean, a skill. You can be the nastiest DJ on TikTok. You can be the nastiest DJ on YouTube, but you put yourself in front of a crowd, in front of people, in front of anybody. They can sense how arrogant you are. They can sense if you're being a douche. You know what I mean? So you want to be. If you're the center of attention, you want that attention to be positive, so be happy, smile behind the decks, make it look like you're actually having a great time, because that's what we're all there to do, is to have a great time. If you love what you do, you're going to do it with love. You're going to have a smile on your face. You're going to be dancing behind the booth. You're not going to have a Serato face. We're all guilty of having Serato face and staring at our laptop. We really are. But I didn't come from that. I didn't come from Serato. I came from before Serato.
Yeah, I had CDs is what I cut.
That's me
vinyl
too.
to CD.
That's me too.
Yeah.
So, but my point is, look at the crowd. Smile at the crowd. Don't be the douchebag and yell at a girl because she's requesting a dumb song. Just be like, sorry, honey, I can't play that right now. It's not really the vibe, Be nice to everybody, because you don't know what the future holds. That person could be somebody important later on.
Right. Right. Now, for yourself, and it might be a similar answer, but if you had to retrace your steps, right, go back to the beginning, and you could only... So you've had all these years in the industry. You've learned all these lessons. But you can only take one lesson with you. And you got to go right back to the very beginning of your career. And only have this lesson to rebuild everything. What would you say that lesson would be that you take with you?
Remember that it's a hobby first. Yeah, not so much a job. It'll turn into a job when you start making good money off of it. But think of it as a hobby and why you got into it in the first place. For the love of it. It's always a hobby first. Not every gig's gonna be a high-paying gig. Not every gig's gonna be fun. You're gonna learn from every gig, but just remember why you're there doing it is because you love to do it. If you actually love to DJ, you'll do it for free in your bedroom. A lot of bedroom DJs do it for free in their bedroom. They'll do events just because they want to get out there. So that's one thing I'll always want to remember. Just keep it as a hobby first. The jobs come after. The money comes after. The fame, everything else comes after. Just the hobby of it. Just remember you like to do it.
Did you have a moment where it felt like it went into a job and you almost you felt resentment towards it?
Well, when I was younger, I didn't want to do weddings because I thought weddings would turn it into a job. Because I didn't want to carry speakers. I didn't want to set up meetings, and I didn't want to do any of that stuff. I didn't want to be on a microphone. So to me, when I was younger, I didn't ever want to do weddings because I thought that would turn into a job.
Right.
Yeah. So here I am now. It outbalances itself because now the job is fun too. You know what I mean? Now that weddings is not so cookie cutter like it was in the past when I didn't want to do them. Now weddings are actually more fun than they were before.
Right.
So if you could turn something that you love into a job, then you're winning at life.
Right. Yeah. Do you have certain things that help you reset yourself to enjoy it again? Like, do you do certain things that help you kind of remind yourself that? Like, how do you reset when you're finding yourself?
This is a great thing because a lot of times if I'm on a long stretch of gigs, one thing that I like to do, since we're a podcast, Joe Rogan actually put me onto it, is the flotation tanks. You ever heard of them?
Yeah, absolutely. The deprivation tanks. Yeah.
Sensory deprivation tanks.
Yeah.
I like to schedule myself for one of those at least like once a month. And it really, after a long stretch of gigs, it's great. You know, after I just came back from Texas and I just came back from a destination wedding in Punta Cana. And that's the first thing I told the wife. I'm like, listen, hey, schedule me a float session because it's great because as the DJ, you're exposed to noise and lights and loudness and people, all of that, you know, traveling, you know, it's just go, go, go. But being inside a sensory deprivation tank, you're just deprived from every sense. You know, there's no feeling, there's no sight. It's crazy because sometimes at these places they have like light music in the background. I'm like, listen, I don't want any music. I want complete silence, complete darkness. I don't want to feel anything. I just want to be me. And I will recommend this to everyone. It's the best date you could have with yourself.
I've always wanted to do it, so hearing you say this is pretty dope.
At first time you do it, you probably won't like it because it's a lot of adjusting because you got to adjust. You really have to let yourself go. And the more you do it, the better you get at it and the better it feels.
So from what I understand, you're like floating in water.
It's 3,000 pounds of Epsom salt
Yeah.
that keeps you afloat. Not even that deep, but just deep enough for you to float in.
Yeah.
And you're inside a capsule or a tank
Yeah.
that's completely dark. And for the first time in your life since you were in the womb, you're not feeling anything. Right now we're feeling the chair that we sit on. If you're laying on a spa bed, you feel the bed that's on behind you. But the water keeps you afloat, and it's the same temperature as your body. So it literally feels like you're floating in space. No, nothing you can see because it's completely dark. Nothing you could hear. So I feel like just having that, especially us DJs, is the best reset.
Yeah. That's dope. Yeah, because I drive home with no music.
That helps too.
Yeah, but what
But
you're saying, like, that's what I'm saying is so dope. Yeah,
even if
like
you
that
drive
on
home,
steroids.
Even if you drive home, with silence, which I do all the time, you're on the highway, you're driving, you get home, you still lay in that bed and you still hear the like it's just that. It's because you're driving. It's just the commotions. It's the lights and everything else. The deprivation that deprivation tank just cures that all.
Bro, I'm definitely gonna try it.
You have to.
I haven't known anyone who does it, so like I'll get all the info for it from you.
Just Google like deprivation tank. I think there's one in Somerville and probably one here in Lowell too.
Yeah,
Be surprised.
I'll have to check it out because I always thought they were like this super expensive thing that like.
They're not. They're about like $150 for like. I like to do it for like 2 hours, 3 hours.
So you just they lay in there for 2 hours.
I would do it longer if they let me.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
I feel like that would. Well, you've done it for a while. What was your first? How long did you do the first one for?
1 hour and a half.
Okay.
An hour and a half, and like I said, the first 45 minutes, first hour, you're adjusting. Especially after your first time, you're adjusting, you're getting used to it, and then like when you literally have to let yourself go. Like you have to let your muscles go and just let yourself flow. As soon as that happens, it's almost like a body high, and it's almost like a trip because at one point you don't even know if your eyes are open or closed. That's how wild it is. Yeah,
That's cool shit.
yeah. So I've been doing it enough to where the point where it's like when I lay down, I'm already there. You know, so it's like you just a lot of your imagination is very vivid. It's almost like a trip, you know. But it's after leaving there, it's such a relief. Like now I'm talking about I want to go schedule one next week.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. That's awesome.
But that's what I do to reset. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll definitely have to grab the information for that off of
Definitely.
you, and then if I find something closer, great. If not, I'll go to the. It sounds like the one you got is pretty solid.
Yeah.
You know?
It's nice.
But all right, as we wrap up here, if you want to share your social media, what you got going on next, anything like that you want to promote, I'll throw that in the video. I usually get this out within like the next 3 to 7 days.
Yeah, whatever.
So anything you got going on that you want to promote, bro, throw it in there.
NoArtieNoParty.com. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook too. I'm not really active on Facebook anymore, but Instagram's where I'm mostly active at DJRDV, TikTok at DJRDV. I got a couple shows coming up, a bunch of proms. I got a boat cruise coming up July 18th. Should be a good one. Boston Harbor. Can't think of anything else off the top of my head. I got a lot of events. I post all my events up on my Instagram. Always posting up a monthly calendar. So check up on that.
Sweet. Artie V, no Artie, no party.
Thank you for having me once again.
Thank you for being here, man. I
course.
appreciate it.
Of course.
All right, I'll put his social media up. You guys will have all those links. Other than that, peace.